Welcome. Today I'm going to be working on this collected Yamadori Larch, so let's take a closer look. It's a lovely tree and I put a very severe bend in it with this thick wire, so let's get this wire off. I've applied a guy wire here to help with this bend. I really cranked on it, I remember, so hopefully this is kind of set in position now. Let's have a look. I've forgot my proper cutters, if I'm honest, so making do with these crappy ones. Well, that seems to have held so far. Now to remove all the rest of this wire off the tree. I've turned the tree round through 180 degrees so we can see the back of it. It's got a lovely base here. It's got quite a nice Navari actually. It comes up, it's got nice taper. This is a nice curved section. The wire has bitten in here, but at least it's held its shape and hopefully that'll heal over the next 4 or 5 years. But this is the problem up at the top. This is a nice branch. I really like this top. But then this seems way too thick. It was the old apex of the tree, but it's just too chunky. And I'm thinking that maybe I should cut this branch off. I've now zoomed in close to see this. And there's a branch at the back here which comes downwards, which I do quite like because it fills this area. So I'm going to try to cut the branch above that and see if I can create a nice cut. That's lovely, that's lovely. In order to create the best possible taper, I do want to cut a bit more of this back. I've got a nice concave cut there, but I think I can go a bit further in reducing some of this down. Like that. So I think that'll be much better. Yeah, I'm happy with that. That's all nice and clean, that cut. Put a bit of cut paste on there and that'll heal up nicely, I think. I'm much happier with that now. I think it's just a much better form, especially from this side now where you can't see that cut. I think it's got nice taper, good character, and all I need to do really is cut these extensions back. And what I'm going to do is cut back to buds, which I can see now. I'll bring you in a little closer to have a look at these buds. I've not got a macro lens on this camera at the moment, but hopefully you can see these buds that are all along these new extensions. And wherever I cut back, for example here, that will then produce a new branch from each of these buds. So I want to cut fairly far back to about 2 buds. So on this tree, that was just an example. I've got a bud in here, a couple of buds in here, which I'll cut back to. In here I've got 2 buds there, 1 on each side. I cut back to those buds, and each of these is now going to bifurcate into a new branch. This is quite easy with larch, this kind of pruning, because you don't really have to search for these buds. They're really very obvious, and you can just work your way around, cutting back to a couple of nice buds, nice and easy, and really quite enjoyable, I think. I do like this kind of work. I call it work. I shouldn't call it work because it's not really work. This is hobby. Occasionally you can get an extension that doesn't really have any nodes too far back, and if that is the case I will cut back to just one. one of the one of the new buds. But generally, this tree's full of loads of good budding and should produce some really nice ramification next year, I think, which is that's the plan anyway. That'd be nice. I collected this larch in early spring of this year, and it actually came up with the main tree that I wanted to collect. This wasn't even the collected tree, this was just kind of wedged in next to it. And while I was collecting the other larch, this one basically just came up, so I thought, oh yeah. And as is often the way, I think I prefer this than the original one. You know, this for me seems to have a bit more character to it. We've got some awkward stuff up here it's kind of, we've got a couple of these shoots and they're going into the tree, which isn't ideal. So I've taken it off to a bud which is pointing upwards, quite low back, so I'm not looking for two buds here. And this one, in fact, I'm going to cut right off because it's just pointing up and it's just very awkward. This can go back to two buds. And I'm quite happy with this. I think that's it's grown on really well. My dad must be doing a good job of watering this one. I gave him a silver birch last year for his birthday in a nice pot, and he killed it fairly quickly. So I replaced it with this larch, and yeah, this is growing on really strongly. So I've got here a very long one, and this is a good example of why you have to prune back. Look at the length of that. It's just no good. You've got to get this back to something manageable. Excellent. There's not much more to do with that. I'll add some cut paste, and there is just a bit of moss growing in the centre. I'll just pull that off. Oh, and we've got a dead branch. Let's cut that off. Larch are quite prone to just have branches, especially the lower branches, just die off, and this one's done nothing, so I'll just take that straight back. There's a small one round the back there as well, but apart from that, it's doing well. I've just added some cut paste to help the wound to seal, and I'm really pleased with the work I've done there. I think it's developing into quite a characterful medium-sized bonsai with a bit of potential, actually. So if you'd like to follow the progression of this tree, hit subscribe, and as always, thanks for joining me. I'll see you soon.